Hi, I'm Dan O'Day. In this video case study I'm about to share with you, we talk about the creation of a campaign for a new French restaurant. And after I recorded the conversation with the person who created the campaign, one of our Radio Advertising Advantage members, I realized there were a couple of points that kind of got lost, or that I forgot about totally, or that maybe got a little bit obscured. So I wanted to bring up one or two of them before you watch the video. One is, originally the restaurant assumed its campaign would be along the lines of "We're an authentic French restaurant, unlike all the other French restaurants around here, we're the real thing." And you'll hear us discuss some of our thinking as to why that wasn't a great approach. But I'm not sure that we explained it enough in the video you're about to see that the client really wanted that at the beginning. And it wasn't until I heard the commercial that you'll hear at the end of the video that I remembered I actually had offered a suggestion for a tagline that I'm kind of proud of. I thought it was a fairly clever way to address this. And if you don't know that backstory, the tagline might confuse you a little bit. So I just thought I'd pique your interest a little bit. And now I'll play the video, you'll hear the commercial, and at the end I'll come back and I'll comment on that tagline. Hi, I'm Dan O'Day from Radio Advertising Advantage with another success story. On the line with me is Tim Burt. Tim is production director for a radio group in St. Louis. Tim, welcome.
Thanks, Dan.
Now, you agreed to share with people one pretty cool success story that I really like, simply because you ended up with something very original, which I always like in advertising. Could you tell us about it, how it started, where it went, etc.?
Yeah, we were posed with a very interesting problem with this new restaurant because they had not opened their doors yet, and we didn't know what their most popular item was since they didn't have one, so we couldn't focus on that. And they were sort of adamant, the restaurant was sort of adamant about focusing on, well, we're a real French restaurant and very authentic. And it's true, they had a chef, their two chefs actually, were from France, young guys, and very thick French accents. So after we talked, Dan and I talked, we decided that that was the selling point. And the salesperson actually came to me and said, well, these guys are from France. And I said, well, that's our hook. How could it not be? You know, if you put a guy with a thick French accent on the air, it's immediately going to stand out. So what we ended up doing was going out to the restaurant, and I recorded probably 25 minutes of just very conversational, very relaxed Q&A session with the chef, and his name is Eric. Great guy. He was very enthusiastic. They loved the idea, and we've decided to focus on the fact that French cooking is very renowned throughout the world, and that became the focus of the commercials. We were setting the ambiance and the mood of the French restaurant in the spots without actually talking about what they had, their wine list, their dessert list, and everything. We were focusing on the French lifestyle and the French mystique. It really was just a great success. They saw positive results from it, and I couldn't have been happier. And really, this all came about because being a Radio Advertising Advantage member, I called Dan on the private line, and we discussed the strategy, the methods we were going to use, and I think it turned out phenomenal.
I really like the way you worked in that plug for the Radio Advertising Advantage. No one's going to notice that. That was really smooth the way you did that there. No, I appreciate that. Part of the Platinum membership is what I call Advertising 911 Hotline, and it's just for this kind of situation where you need an idea or you need feedback or something really, really quickly. And as I recall, when we talked about it, you said that they wanted to make it clear that everyone knows they're a genuine French restaurant. My feeling was that it was a bad idea to say that in a commercial for a couple of reasons. And one is that people have more than one restaurant that they like. So if somebody already has a French restaurant that they like, and this new client's going to come on the air and say, unlike all the other French restaurants in St. Louis, we're authentic, and all the rest are not. Essentially, they're saying, if you already go to a French restaurant that you like, you're an idiot. And
there's nothing wrong with having two French restaurants that you like. And the other was that if you want to show that it's authentic French, probably, when you mentioned they had thick French accents, I thought, well, that probably will demonstrate it. And as you pointed out, you had another challenge in that initially they had not opened, so you needed to advertise a restaurant and communicate the message that it's really fine, authentic French food, but they had not opened yet. And so you found a way to do it, without highlighting menu items or anything like that. And then once they opened, did you alter the campaign in some way?
No, we kept the campaign the exact same, kept the same spots. The only thing that changed was the tag at the very end. The restaurant, if I can say it, is Bistro 1130, and before they opened, it was Bistro 1130, opening whatever the date was, September 1st or whatever. And then after the opening, it was Bistro 1130, now open, something maybe now accepting reservations. I don't remember the tag exactly. So we had two spots that were rotating. Didn't change anything on either spot, just the tag. Just gave the website address, because this was a reservations-only restaurant as well. This is not a just walk in, sit down kind of deal. They wanted to position themselves as being very upscale, and I think they did that quite well. I didn't want to drive people to just a phone number. I wanted them to go to the website, which had the phone number on it, even though the restaurant was not open. The thing is, it was not a standalone building. It was actually in a strip mall in front of a large mega shopping complex with a Target and a Whole Foods and things like that. And there were other establishments on either side of them, and they were sort of, I don't want to say tucked away, but they had a lot of foliage out front. And so if you didn't know exactly what you were looking for, you wouldn't have found it, but it would have been awfully difficult. So they had a picture of the front of the restaurant on their website, which is where I wanted to drive people to, so they knew exactly what they were looking for and not just a phone number to call and make reservations to a place that they couldn't find or had a hard time finding.
Really smart. So rather than trying to sell them on the idea of calling now to make a reservation, drive them to the website, which is going to show them exactly where it's located. I'm guessing it also shows off the restaurant, photographs, the menu, maybe some pictures of the cuisine, and all of that cumulatively has the effect of encouraging the person to call to make the reservation, and the phone number was right there on the website.
Exactly. And it worked really well for them, so I couldn't be happier.
Now, given your description of their location, between and behind various buildings, is it safe to say that the commercial did not say conveniently located?
That is safe to say, yes.
So, finally, before I ask you to share the first commercial you made for them, what were the results? What happened when they opened?
They were booked up almost immediately, and we have some people here in the building that are authentic French restaurant, amateur critics, I guess you could call them, absolutely raved about the place. And the thing that was really critical for me is that the restaurant was able to back up what we set up in the commercial. It's not as though we broke a brand promise. We didn't do that at all. They lived up to what they said that they were going to do. That, in my mind, only makes the commercial that much stronger, but they have been steadily booked, and we've heard nothing but great results from them.
And that's another really good point, in that you didn't come up with some catchy slogan. When you said they lived up to the brand promise, you made the brand promise based on what the brand really was.
Right.
Rather than coming up with some catchy offer or catchy slogan that now they have to somehow bend themselves to match, you just let them be themselves, and you presented them.
The tagline that I came up for them, which they loved, is the sexiest French restaurant in St. Louis, because when you walked into it, it really did reek of a very swanky, very elegant French restaurant. So I gave them the tagline, the sexiest French restaurant in St. Louis. And that's the one constant that stayed the same with both commercials, and they actually have that on their website now.
That must feel good when you see their website and you see the tagline that you came up with.
Yeah, it's great to work with clients that actually trust your expertise and will follow your guidance and your lead, and who believe in you and trust you. And when you come to them with ideas that are unique and that are effective and that have a really, really good chance of working, it really is validation for what we do. It really did feel good.
And just to drive home one more point about that slogan, it's not just a clever or catchy slogan. What it is saying to me, at least, is this is a restaurant that is perfect for a romantic date or an anniversary. So you're actually telling people, hey, if this is you, come here.
Absolutely. And to recap another point, immediately in my mind when I heard that they accepted only reservations, this is not a walk-in, sit-down restaurant, that immediately adds an element of mystique and elitism to it, and not in a bad way. But, if you have to make reservations for someplace, you're going to pay a little bit more, or probably a lot more, and there's going to be that added aura of specialness to it. This is a put on your good clothes and go have dinner kind of place.
And it also added an element of scarcity, because if the only way they could go is to have a reservation in advance and they have a big date planned or an anniversary, now they are going to be relatively quick to call because they want to make sure that they can book a table for the time and evening that they want.
Yeah, absolutely. They have probably, I'm guessing, maybe 18 tables, maybe 20. So it does have an aura of exclusivity to it.
And by now I think we're ready to hear the commercial. Before you play it for us, let me remind people who you are. We've been talking with Tim Burt. Tim is production director for a radio station group in St. Louis, Missouri, and he's a member of my Radio Advertising Advantage, and I'm thrilled of the success story, and it does make me want to go try the restaurant. So, Tim, thank you for talking to us, and let's end this by playing the commercial.
Thanks, Dan.
Eric, talk about the dessert.
You start with your eggs and your flour and your yeast, and you make it from scratch. But my dad was a maître ouvrier, or the recipe of the lemon tart is his. Key lime pie you're gonna love, bananas Foster's, cherries Jubilé, probably crêpe Suzette.
Where are you from, Afton?
No, I'm from Avignon in Provence in France.
Bistro 1130, the sexiest French restaurant in St. Louis. Now open and reservations are available. Bistro1130.com.
So that's one of the commercials that Tim created for the restaurant. And as far as the tagline goes, when he and I originally were talking, and he was talking about the fact that the restaurant wanted to stress how they're authentic and they're really from France, I said to him, name a suburb, some small suburb of St. Louis. And he paused and said, Afton. I said, okay, great. At the end of your commercials, just ask the guy, because you'll have been talking to him for the entire commercial, and you've told me he has a thick French accent, right? Yeah. Okay. At the end, just say to him very casually, are you from Afton? And then have him say, no, I'm from wherever in France. So that's why at the end of the spot, you heard him say, are you from Afton? So that was just the end of the story there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped. Thanks.